Am I the a-hole for refusing to share the aisle with my daughter's stepdad? I, 56M, have one daughter, Emily, 25F, and she's getting married next spring. To say I've been looking forward to this day for years would be an understatement. It's one of those milestones you think about from the moment your kid is born, the image of walking your little girl down the aisle, seeing her glow with happiness, and knowing you played a part in getting her there. Emily and I have always been close. When her mom and I divorced, she was around 12. The divorce wasn't easy on anyone, not on me, not on her mom, and definitely not on Emily. But even through the roughest parts, I made sure she always knew one thing: she could depend on me. Always. After the divorce, Emily primarily lived with me. Her mom moved about an hour away, remarried after a few years, and started a new life with her husband, Greg. I've tried to keep things civil with them for Emily's sake, but it's not exactly easy when Greg is involved. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the guy. I just don't like him. He's one of those people who always has to be the loudest voice in the room, cracking jokes that go too far, making every event about himself. If there's a spotlight, he'll find a way to stand under it. He's the kind of man who'll interrupt someone mid-sentence just to one-up them with a better story. Over the years, I've bitten my tongue more times than I can count. Birthdays, family dinners, holidays, he'll do something embarrassing or obnoxious, and I'll just smile through it for Emily's sake. I've always told myself, it's not worth it. Keep the peace. Let Emily have her family moments without tension. And for the most part, that's what I did. So, fast forward to now, Emily's wedding planning is in full swing. I've been helping however I can. I offered to pay for everything, and I meant it. Venue, catering, dress, flowers, decorations, all of it. She's my only daughter, and I wanted her to have the wedding she's dreamed of since she was little. She came over one evening a few weeks ago, all smiles, carrying her wedding binder, and we were going over some details when she suddenly said, almost nervously, "Dad, there's something I want to talk to you about, it's kind of important." I thought maybe she wanted to discuss a song choice or something sentimental. But she looked genuinely hesitant, which made me uneasy. Then she said it. "I was thinking, maybe it would be nice if both you and Greg walked me down the aisle. Like, you walk me halfway, and then he joins for the rest." For a second, I thought I heard her wrong. I just stared at her, waiting for her to laugh and say she was joking. But she didn't. She looked completely serious. I felt my chest tighten. I tried to process it. My daughter, the little girl I raised, who I stayed up nights with when she was sick, who I taught to ride a bike, who I held after every heartbreak, was asking me to share one of the most meaningful moments of my life with a man who's been around for a handful of years. I'll admit, my first reaction wasn't calm or collected. I just blurted out, "What? Why would you want that?" She hesitated and said, "Well, he's been really supportive, and I just thought it would mean a lot to include him. He's been there for me these past few years too, you know." I nodded, but inside I was angry and hurt in ways I can't fully explain. Supportive? The man's been in her life since she was 20. 5 years. 5 years versus a lifetime. I said, as evenly as I could, "Emily, I love you, and I'll always respect your choices, but that hurts. I've been there every step of the way. I've done everything for you. To have to share that moment, the moment I've looked forward to for 25 years, with someone who hasn't put in the same time, love, or sacrifice? That's hard for me to swallow." She looked uncomfortable and said, "Dad, it's not about replacing you. It's about including him. I just thought it would be a nice gesture." That's when it clicked for me, this wasn't her idea. It didn't sound like her. Emily is thoughtful, empathetic, and usually tries to avoid drama. This felt like something suggested, maybe even pushed by someone else. Later, after I'd calmed down, I asked her gently, "Emily, be honest with me, did you want this, or did someone else bring it up?" She sighed and admitted that her mom and Greg had talked to her about it. Apparently, her mom thought it would mean a lot to Greg if he got to walk Emily too, and Emily, not wanting to upset anyone, agreed to it. I'm not going to lie, that made me furious. Her mother and her husband trying to insert themselves into what should have been our moment felt like a slap in the face. For years, I've tolerated that man's antics. I've stayed silent when he's made digs at me, I've played nice at events, and now he wants to step into my shoes, literally, for the one moment that should be about me and my daughter. I tried to be diplomatic. I told Emily I appreciated her wanting to keep everyone happy, but I also told her how deeply it would hurt me to share that walk. I reminded her that it's traditionally a father-daughter moment, not out of pride, but because it symbolizes the bond between the two of us. I told her, I was there through every scraped knee, every dance recital, every heartbreak, every college acceptance, every car breakdown. He wasn't. This isn't about ownership, it's about acknowledgement. That moment is ours, and I've dreamed of it for decades." She got quiet and said she understood, but then she went back to her mom's and, apparently, told them everything. The next day, I started getting texts, first from my ex, then from Greg. My ex said I was being selfish and making the day about me. She said, "It's not about you, it's about our daughter feeling loved by everyone." Greg, of course, sent a smug little message about how it's not a competition and Emily deserves all her father figures beside her. I was shaking with anger. The sheer audacity of that man to put himself in the same category as me was infuriating. I bit my tongue and didn't respond. But when Emily called later, she was crying. She said she didn't want this to turn into a war and that she just wanted peace. That broke me. I never wanted her to feel caught in the middle. I just wanted her to understand that what she was asking of me wasn't small. A few days passed, and I thought maybe things had cooled down, until I overheard from my sister, who's helping plan the wedding, that my ex and Greg were hinting to other relatives that I might refuse to walk Emily if I didn't get my way. That was the last straw. I called Emily and told her that I loved her more than anything, but that if she truly wanted Greg to share the walk, she needed to consider what that meant. I said, "If this is what you want, I'll respect it. But I want you to think about why you want it. If it's because you want it, fine. If it's because your mother and Greg made you feel pressured, that's not fair to you or to me. And if he's going to play the role of a father, then maybe he can also help pay for the wedding, because right now, I'm covering every cent of it." That comment didn't go over well. She went quiet, then said, "That's not fair, Dad." I said, "Neither is asking me to share something I've waited 25 years for." We haven't spoken much since. Things are tense. My ex is painting me as controlling and possessive, Greg is acting like some wounded hero, and Emily, she's stuck between wanting to please everyone and trying not to make anyone angry. Part of me feels guilty. I don't want her to feel torn. But another part of me feels like I have every right to be upset. This isn't about ego. It's about what that walk represents, a father bringing his daughter into her new life. A moment of pride, love, and closure for everything we've been through together. Greg didn't hold her hand through the nights she cried when her mom left. He didn't sit through her high school plays or help her practice her driving. He wasn't there when she was homesick her first semester of college. He didn't sacrifice vacations, hobbies, and weekends to make sure she could have every opportunity she wanted. I did. I've been there for every single milestone, every single chapter. And now, just because her mom's husband feels entitled to be included, I'm supposed to hand over half of that moment? Even my own family is divided. My sister thinks I'm justified, my brother says I should just let it go and keep the peace, and my mom, Emily's grandma, told me I'm making a scene over a tradition. But to me, it's not just a tradition. It's the culmination of years of love, effort, and being a dad in every sense of the word. And I can't help but feel like if the roles were reversed, if Emily had lived primarily with her mom and I had been the step-parent, no one would even consider giving me the same honor. I've thought about compromising, maybe letting Greg do a father-daughter dance after the ceremony, or a toast. But the aisle? That's sacred to me. Maybe I shouldn't have said the thing about splitting the bill, but honestly, it came from frustration. I've paid for every single expense without complaint. I didn't hesitate when she told me the budget. I just wanted her to have a perfect day. Now, I feel like the very thing I was looking forward to most is being taken from me, and I'm somehow being cast as the villain for caring. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting to share the walk with her stepdad, especially since I'm paying for the entire wedding? And just to clarify, since some people seem to misunderstand this part, this wasn't originally Emily's idea. Her mom and Greg asked her to bring it up. She just didn't want to upset them. I love my daughter, and I'll always support her, but I can't help but feel like this entire thing is being manipulated to make Greg feel like more of a father than he's earned. I'm hurt. I'm angry. But more than anything, I'm heartbroken that something I've dreamed about since she was born might now be turned into a power struggle instead of a memory we both cherish. Update. Hey everyone, I wanted to come back and post an update because I've seen so many kind, thoughtful, and even brutally honest comments on my original post. I haven't been able to respond to everyone, there were just too many, but I truly did read as many as I could. And to those who reached out with support or shared their own stories about weddings and complicated blended families, thank you. I didn't expect the post to blow up like it did. Honestly, when I wrote it, I was just venting, I was hurt, angry, and confused. I never thought so many people would relate to it, or that strangers from all over would help me see things from perspectives I hadn't considered. Reading through the comments made me feel less alone, and for that, I'm deeply grateful. A few people also asked about the wedding costs, so to clear that up, it's a destination wedding, which means the expenses are pretty steep. I've been covering not just the main venue and travel costs, but also things like my daughter's makeup artist, her dress fittings, and even some personal gifts I wanted to surprise her with. I wasn't paying to control her day, I did it because I love her and wanted to give her the wedding she dreamed of. I never wanted that generosity to become a point of conflict. But after all the chaos that followed my post, I realized I couldn't leave things hanging like that. I needed to sit down with my daughter, just the two of us, and have an honest, vulnerable conversation without her mom or stepdad in the mix. When I finally got the chance to see her in person, I suggested we meet at her favorite little cafe, the same one we used to go to when she was in high school after her dance classes. I brought her favorite pastry, a lemon tart, hoping it might soften the mood. She came in looking exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair tied in a messy bun. The moment I saw her, my heart sank. This wedding, which should have been the happiest time of her life, was clearly wearing her down. We sat down, and for a few minutes, neither of us said anything. I finally took a deep breath and started. "Emily," I said softly, "I just want to talk, no arguing, no guilt. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from." She nodded, but her expression was guarded. So I told her everything. How walking her down the aisle wasn't just a tradition to me, it was a lifetime of memories leading up to that one moment. How I'd pictured it from the time she was little, the same way other dads dream of seeing their kid graduate or holding their grandchild for the first time. I told her that it wasn't about Greg or competition or pride, it was about the bond between us. About being the one constant in her life. I said, "When you were little and your mom left, you used to wake up crying at night. I was the one who held you until you fell asleep again. I was the one who promised you that no matter what happened, I'd never leave. That's why this moment matters so much to me. Because it feels like the end of that promise, like I get to walk you toward your new beginning, just once, before you start your own family." My voice cracked near the end. I didn't mean to get emotional, but I couldn't help it. Then I told her the part one regretted most, the comment about splitting the bills. I told her I said it out of frustration and pain, and that it was never meant as a threat. "I would never, ever make you pay for anything, Emily," I said. "That was wrong of me. I was angry, and I shouldn't have said it. I'm paying because I want to, because I love you. You don't owe me anything in return." She looked down at her hands and whispered, "You really hurt me when you said that, Dad. It made me feel like money came before me." That broke my heart. I immediately reached for her hand and said, "No. You come before everything, Em. Always have, always will." I just didn't know how to tell you how much this meant to me without sounding like I was asking too much. But instead of softening, she looked angry, not just upset, but genuinely angry in a way I hadn't seen since she was a teenager. She said, "Dad, do you even realize how much pressure I'm under? Everyone's fighting, Mom, Greg, you. I'm stuck in the middle trying to make everyone happy, and I can't win. You keep saying this is about love, but it feels like it's about control." That stung more than I can describe. I tried to tell her it wasn't about control, it was about meaning, about emotion, but she was already crying. She said she was tired of being caught between parents who can't get along and accused me of threatening her when I mentioned the bills. She even called me a narcissist. That one hit me like a punch to the chest. I know that word gets thrown around easily these days, but hearing it from my own daughter, it shattered something inside me. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just sat there and listened. Because beneath all that anger, I could tell she was scared and overwhelmed. She told me that her mom had been really good to her lately, that they'd rebuilt a bond she never had as a kid, and she didn't want to lose that by upsetting her. She said her mom was finally acting like the kind of mother she'd always wanted, caring, attentive, affectionate. And you know what? I understood. I really did. Emily spent so much of her childhood feeling like she wasn't enough for her mom. So if she finally feels loved and accepted by her now, of course she'd bend over backward to protect that. Still, hearing her say that broke my heart a little, because it meant she was still that same little girl trying to earn her mom's love, even as an adult. A few days later, my ex-wife called and suggested we all meet as a family to talk things through, her, Greg, me, and Emily. Against my better judgment, I agreed. My sister happened to be visiting that day, and when she heard about the meeting, she insisted on staying, saying, "You're not walking into that lion's den alone." When they arrived, I could already feel the tension radiating through the house. Greg strutted in with that usual overconfident smirk, while my ex carried that passive-aggressive calm she's perfected over the years. Emily looked nervous and on the verge of tears before we'd even started. The conversation started civilly enough. My ex said she understood my feelings, but thought I was being unreasonable. Then Emily, trying to take charge, said she'd made a decision, she didn't want me to pay for the wedding anymore. I froze. She said she wanted to remove money from the equation entirely because it was causing too much drama. Then she turned to her mom and Greg and said, almost timidly, would you guys be able to help cover some of the costs instead? I knew what was about to happen, and my heart sank. I'd seen this movie before. My ex gave her that pitying smile and said, oh honey, I wish we could, but we just can't right now. We're saving for Ryan's college fund, and that has to come first. Ryan is her son from a relationship before Greg, he's 15. College is still 5 or 6 years away. But she said it so matter-of-factly, like it was the most reasonable excuse in the world. Emily's face fell instantly. She tried to smile, but her lips trembled. She said quietly, oh, okay. I understand. But she didn't. I could see it in her eyes, the disappointment, the realization. Greg, of course, couldn't leave it at that. He leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and said, see, this is exactly why we wanted to split the walk. You're making everything about yourself again, man. You just want to be the hero who pays for everything. I wanted to throw him out of my house. Instead, I just looked at him and said, Greg, I've paid for everything because I love my daughter, not because I need to be a hero. You've been around for 5 years. You think you understand this family? You don't. This isn't about ego. It's about 25 years of love and sacrifice that you'll never comprehend. He started to respond, but my sister stepped in before I could lose my temper. She looked him dead in the eye and said, maybe you should sit this one out, Greg. I'll admit, that made me smile a little inside. The rest of the conversation went downhill fast. My daughter was crying by then, saying she felt torn and that she just wanted everyone to stop fighting. I turned to her and said, Emily, I'm not fighting with you. I'm fighting for you. For something that's supposed to mean something to us both. But if it's too much, if this has turned into something that makes you miserable, I'll back off. I don't want you to remember your wedding as a war zone. By the end of it, Emily just looked defeated. I could see it in her posture, the way her shoulders slumped and her voice shook. I think that was the moment she realized her mom and Greg weren't willing to lift a finger for her big day, no matter how much she tried to keep them happy. She didn't say much after that. She just said she needed some time, space to process everything. I told her she could have all the space she needed, and that no matter what, I'd still be here when she was ready. When they left, my ex lingered for a moment. She turned to me and said, you ruined everything, you know. You've poisoned her against us? She used to respect me, and now she's questioning everything I do. You did that. I didn't respond. There was no point. I just told her to leave. Now, I'm sitting here a few days later, still processing it all. Emily hasn't called yet, but I know she will when she's ready. She's hurt and confused, not just by me, but by everyone. She's realizing things about her mom that I wish she didn't have to find out this way. I wanted her to see the truth about her mother's priorities, yes, but not like this. I never wanted it to come from a place of disappointment. I wanted her to understand slowly, on her own terms, that her mom's love often comes with conditions. But now she's seen it, raw and unfiltered, and it's broken her heart. What hurts the most is that she still tries so hard to believe the best in people. She has this big, open heart and this instinct to trust, even when people don't deserve it. I admire that about her, but I also worry it's what keeps getting her hurt. To make things more complicated, my future son-in-law told me later that he had actually encouraged Emily to ask her mom and stepdad to pay for the wedding. He said he wanted her to see that they wouldn't do it, to open her eyes. He meant well, I think, but it wasn't the right way. I get that he doesn't like my ex-wife, and honestly, I don't blame him. She's made nasty remarks about his own mother more than once, but using this situation to prove a point wasn't fair to Emily. Now she's caught in the wreckage of everyone else's choices, mine, her mom's, her stepdad's, her fiancé's. She didn't deserve any of this. So that's where things stand now. Emily's taking some time to cool off, and I'm giving her space. I still plan to pay for the wedding, but quietly, without reminding her of it, without attaching expectations. I just want her to have her day and be happy. I don't know what will happen with the walking down the aisle part. Maybe she'll change her mind, maybe she won't. At this point, I just hope the day goes smoothly and that she can focus on love, not conflict. And if she still wants her stepdad to walk with her, I'll swallow my pride and do it, because as much as it hurts, my love for her outweighs my need to be right. But I'll admit, deep down, a part of me still hopes that when the moment comes, she'll look over at me, take my arm, and say, just you, Dad. Until then, I'm just trying to be there for her in whatever way she needs, quietly, without pushing, without demanding. Thank you again to everyone who commented, who messaged, who reminded me that I'm not crazy for feeling hurt. Your words helped me keep my dignity through one of the hardest conversations of my life. I don't know how the story ends yet, but I do know this: no matter what happens on that aisle, she'll always be my little girl. Wish you all luck, and thank you again for being kind strangers when I needed it most.